Hello, wonderful people. This is Tom Check with Choice Coaching, where we help you unlock your inner awesome. And today we are talking about control. Depending on who you are and what stage of life you are, control might have a good connotation or a bad connotation for you. But what is it? What is control? If you look it up in a dictionary, the definition, which I really love, is to direct people's behaviors or situations in order to achieve a desired outcome. And that totally sums up what control is for most of us. We try and control the people around us and the environments around us and the situations we find ourselves in order to achieve a desired result, right? The result that we want. And this is really natural. We want to control things because we think that those outcomes are really important. And they are really important to us, or they seem important to us. And so we exert control over others and over environments and situations in order to get there. There's a couple of problems here, though. I mean, obviously, the payoff, if we're in control, should be that we feel stable, we feel like things are going in the right direction, and that we're able to be ourselves while being in control. The challenge, though, is that often when we exert our control in a situation, we don't get to be authentic, and we don't always get the outcomes we want. Best laid plans of mice and men, as they say. You don't always get what you want, regardless of how control you are, how in control you are. And sometimes even the more in control you are, it seems like the less of the desired outcome you get. Why is that? I'm going to tell you something you already know. This isn't rocket science. It's not going to blow your mind. You cannot control other people. You can't. You cannot control other people's behavior, their reactions. None of that is within your control. You definitely can't control the environment or the situations that life puts in front of you. Whether it's random or divine, the world is going to continue to throw things at you that you are not prepared for, that you don't have any past experience to guide your path in, and that are totally out of your control. And when you try to control others or the world, it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to do the impossible, as it turns out. You can certainly create influence over people and over the environment and over situations. But the only way that you can influence anything towards your desired outcome is to be in control of yourself. This often looks like putting on a mask in order to manipulate a situation to get what you want. And that might work for a little while, except for if we take a step back and we really zoom out. The desired outcome that most of us have is a life where we feel authentic, fulfilled, happy, stable. And to get all of those, you can't really wear a mask or different masks in order to manipulate situations in order to get desired outcomes. Because if you get the raise at work, but you lost a little sense of who you are in the process, the desired outcome, the raise, isn't really in line with your bigger desired outcome, which is the happiness you think the extra money will get you, or the stability and the freedom that you think that extra money will get you. And you've robbed Peter to pay Paul, as they say. So what do we do? What do we do in order to step out of being in control? The first thing we do is we take some time to take a step back, to zoom out, and to see the whole picture, and to get in line with what are those bigger outcomes that you really desire. Most people don't have a desire to manipulate others in order to feel like they are okay. That's not what most people desire. When they zoom out, they look at their whole life and they think, when I'm 95 years old on my deathbed, I want to be proud that I got everybody else to do what I wanted, even if it made them miserable. Blech. Nobody would say that, right? Or if they would, they're not in their right mind. Most of us want to feel in relationship with other people, in relationship with ourselves, and like we did good. And so taking a step back and identifying what your bigger goals for life are helps you to recognize where you should be exerting control over yourself and why. And when you do that really authentically, you naturally influence other people towards the desired outcomes. It's not always. You'll still get pushback from some people. And often, the control you then get to exert is to recognize that some people aren't in line with your bigger goals. And that the control you really need to exert is letting go of the relationship or the expectation that you hold that other person in. So we have to zoom out, we have to look at what are our bigger goals. We have to accept the fact that naturally, when we're not paying attention, we try to control things. That's what our little monkey mind is designed to do, and if we're not paying attention to it, it's what it's going to keep doing. So we have to accept that we are trying to control things, and we have to be able to rein that in by bringing ourselves back to present, by noticing that the controlling is happening, and to let go. And that letting go in this instance really looks like re-identifying with the bigger goal. I'm here to be a force for good for people. And so if my direct reports aren't quote unquote doing their job because they didn't execute the actionables just exactly like I said they should, maybe instead of trying to find different ways to manipulate them to do so, I should take a step back and I should make sure that my actions are in line with my mission, which is to be a force for good for people. If I'm a force for good for people, I'm going to connect with that person as an individual. I'm going to do so very authentically. And I'm going to do so outside of the purview of, hey, you messed up this project. Do better next time. Because that doesn't help somebody. And all it does is it forces them to push back and tell you how they're right instead of you and you're wrong. And then you get into that same pissing contest and you try and prove to them that you're right and they're wrong. And because you're in power, if they don't shape up, you're going to ship them out. And then you've lost total sight of your bigger mission, your bigger values, your bigger desires for life, that big outcome. So notice when you're trying to control the situation. Accept that you are trying to control situations around you. Figure out what it is you really want. That's your homework today. Write it down. Zoom out. When you're on your deathbed, what do you want to say proudly that you did well in your life? And then make sure that your day-to-day actions are aligned with that outcome. It'll be challenging at first. This is one of those simple but hard things. It's rarely complex to let go of control, but it's often very hard to do so. But it's also very worthwhile to do so. So that's our discussion on control. Today, take a step back, identify what your lifelong outcomes that you're shooting for are. Make sure that you control yourself in order to align with those outcomes. But stop trying to control others. And until next time, stay awesome. Of course, feel free to reach out or comment if this was great for you or if you want some clarification. And until next time, be good.